A portion of this video is sponsored by LastPass. If there's one thing I can confidently say about myself, then it's that I have a lot of ideas. I didn't say they were good ideas. Yeah, my notebooks are just like filled with projects that never happened. I want it to be like a one-woman band, but like a one-woman workshop, and just have all these like tools strapped to my body. The hammer shoes are kind of nice. Here's a lamp that looks like a tampon, and I think I was mostly in it for the name. Lampon. Here's the CEO bouncy chair. I wanted it to kind of be like a kid's bouncy chair, but like a grown-up version for it, and it would have like a really fancy mahogany desk around it and like a Rolodex, and I don't know, maybe market it as like an exercise thing. So I originally had the idea for this project in like June 2018. It was right after I'd had my surgery, and I had this idea that I wanted to make a paper shredder that looked like a brain. So you would just put the paper in between the brain halves, and then the shredded paper would come out the bottom, just so I could like put my hopes and dreams into it and shred them. But then I kind of forgot about it, and I thought it would just be permanently in the sketchbook graveyard until last week when I was going through the storage here at the workshop, and this like broken paper shredder kind of just like manifested itself, and I was like, it's time. So I found this broken shredder motor, and I was gonna take it to the recycling, but then I kind of just stumbled with a screwdriver and started picking it apart instead. So these are the rotors that shred the paper and pull it through, and here's the motor that runs them. There's some sort of like gearbox here in the back. Paper shredders are fucking terrifying. They kind of look like hair rollers of doom. So I welded together a new motor mount, because the motor used to be on the side and now it's gonna be on the bottom, because that will just like anatomically work better with the brain. Okay, here's the plan. So I need to make some sort of mount for it. And I'm thinking of getting like an old lamp or something like that and repurposing the base for it. Then I need to rewire the electronics, make a brain, shred, 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 shred. I'm running all of these safety protocols with myself to not get my hair stuck in it. For some reason, my hair is the thing that like eats most shit. Fortunately, it's like one of the few body parts that grows back, so why call it a ponytail when it's like a lizard tail? Because if it falls off, it grows back. So I didn't find a lamp base, but I found this pretty great fan. Look at that. It's my fan base. This thing about welding where being an amazing welder is really hard, but being like a good enough welder, it's really not that difficult. So I just made this like little base reinforcement, and I'm thinking that this is what's gonna take most of the weight of the brain. This is mostly just gonna go on top. It's like this little flaring. It's catching. I was kind of hoping I could just force it. Or maybe I just chop it off and pretend like it was never there. No, don't be lazy. Do the thing. Do it properly. That's so not straight. I have just finished the wiring, so I made a little clip here so I could easily plug and unplug the motor. I've just pulled the cable in through the base, it comes out here and it connects to the switch. Still haven't plugged it in. I'm genuinely nervous to do so, but there's only one way to find out if you fucked up. That's great. This is exactly what we want to happen. Okay, so it should be off, and then it should be, please, on in one direction. No! Okay, that doesn't work, but what about on in the other direction? Does the outlet work? I feel like when I was a kid, and always if I got something wrong in math, I would always be like, I found a mistake in the book. And me being like, maybe the outlet doesn't work. I feel like it's the equivalent of that. Instead of watching paint dry, let's talk about passwords. So this portion of the video is sponsored by LastPass. LastPass fills in your username or your password so you don't have to keep track of them all or use the same password across multiple sites. Mine always used to be some version of like, I love Cheese Louise. Truckla is great. LastPass lets you store unlimited passwords and share them when you need to. It also syncs across devices, so if you're an iOS or Android, it will fill in your credentials on apps and sites. And it's honestly one of those things that once you start using it, you realize you're never gonna be able to go back to the system you had before. So thanks to LastPass for sponsoring that portion of the video, and let's get back to brains and brain shredders that you can use to shred those Post-it notes you use to write your passwords on. I think the stand is as finished as it's ever gonna be. I've kind of been using it as an excuse to put off making the actual brain because I am very good at productive procrastination. So one of very few perks of going through brain surgery is that you get a bunch of MRI scans. And I have all my MRI scans on CD. It's kind of like the souvenirs you get from amusement parks. I even put mine on a t-shirt. I've been converting my MRI scans into vector files, and the plan is to build the brain up layer by layer. So in each one of these slots, there will be one slice of bread, one slice of brain. Yeah, it'll be like a loaf of bread, but instead of bread, it's brain. So I made a shit ton of prototypes. Yeah, this is how long it took for me to figure out how to do this. I've been using my laser cutter to cut these, but I want the final brain to be made out of brass, which I can't use a laser cutter for. And I thought for a hot second that I could use the Shaper Origin for it, but I gave up very quickly. We're heading to a place that has a water jet, and we're gonna cut out the brain slices. I also bought a hat, because I want to be the type of person who can pull off wearing a hat, but I don't know if I got it. Let me know in the comments if I got it. Is it too much? I just don't want it to be Coachella or cowboy, but I think it's kind of both. water jet brain halves. I still haven't seen them. Oh, this sharp. Oh, real sharp. You should wear gloves sharp. Version control has been a real bitch with this project, but this is my final version. Oh yeah. I should really just clean these up and then maybe put a layer of epoxy on them. Last step, brain loaf. I have all the brain halves prepared. Now we're just gonna put them on the shredder. I also laser cut these little standoffs. So these will go in between the layers just to keep them stable. Fuck off. Fuck you. Piece of fuckery. This is like an unintentional ASMR video because it's just me whispering to myself. I don't watch ASMR. I do have a weird thing. Like if I watch any agility video, I cry. And I don't just cry a little bit. Like I cry like my husband left me for my sister amounts. And I have no idea why it gets me so much, but there's just something about like how excited the dog is, just hits me right in the feelings and I cry. So that's what I watch on YouTube. Also, my brain is still pretty lopsided after surgery and I might have just taken it down a notch because I made a draft of this using paper and the asymmetry of it bothered me, okay? I didn't pick my brain because I wanted to pick my brain. It was the only one I had access to, okay? It was necessity rather than narcissism. Almost there. Do you like it? Should we turn it on? Shred! Why is there smoke? Fuck! Where is there smoke coming from? Oh my God, I just saw the most subtle tendrils of smoke. It doesn't smell burnt. Let's try to run it again. I say we just ignore it. Thanks for watching.